BluntCut MetalWorks, March 26, 2022. I want to have a kitchen knife that would, have good edge and will last a long time. Basically, I mean, if the dullness effect is based on instead of fracture because you do chopping or but if the dullness effect from an abrasive, basically vegetable, I mean on the cutting board, over time you cut a lot of vegetable, then there are a lot of grit in the cutting board. But the grit, I mean basically silicon dioxide or sand. Anyway, initially then I tried to test this S60V 65 Rockwell, sharpened with an Edge Pro at 13.5 degrees per side, and then grit the 600 grit diamond plate. Anyway, I tried to saw bamboo, which is you could get up from about maybe 10%, between 8 to 10 to 12% of silicate sand. Embedded in here, very fine, but it didn't work. But anyway, the initial edge is like this, and it's sharp. Now I want to have a material that so that easily, to test, but easily reproducible anytime. So bamboo have variability, rope cut forever, and it didn't seem it's not working well. So now I just want to got material I can cut. Some cut quickly, and until it no longer cuts phonebook paper. In other words, they won't able to cut tomato skin very well. Anyway, and this the scrubbing or scouring pad here, green. I think the green have aluminum oxide in it and about 600 grit. Basically, like a sharpened stone, except they have lower density in terms of the grit. So expectation would be that it would be dulled very quickly. So anyway, you can say if it dulled with 1 or 2 cut, then not much learned from it because you cut it onto something a little less abrasive than sandpaper. But if, we see how it goes. Look like these things have some sort of moisture in it. Anyway, so I'm just going to use pretty much the whole edge here. And of this spot doesn't have abrasive, so the green part. So I want to cut this way, so instead of the other way, because I don't want grit to get onto the wood here and kind of mess up the measurement. 2, 3, we see here make 10, that's 9, now 10. So that moderate pressure, and over. So it fell somewhere. Okay, now let's see. It couldn't penetrate the paper, but we'll see. It just slide the paper. Okay, so this part over here definitely dull because it cannot penetrate the phonebook, right? But however, it can still slide it along and able to cut the phonebook by slide. Probably, they skip and hit carbide, still there, protruding carbide, and able to cut through. So let's get kill the edge completely. I begin put more pressure in it now, so the abrasive are going to abrade the edge a lot more now. That make the last one, make 10 cut. Okay, so also, so in other words, this scouring pad completely cut. I don't have any printer paper handy right now, but let me initiate cut here, and then I will slide, see what happens. Well, it didn't tear the paper. So in other words, right now if I were to cut some rope, right, and see if it would cut. You have tough time cutting rope now, but they still cutting the rope, right? Anyway, so I would call that, I can see somewhat reflecting the light. With this test, I see it lasts a lot longer. I don't have a baseline, but established yet. If I would use like the some production knife, out there, commercial knife, so I can establish, how long cut. But seeing this, as you watching the video, if you want to reproduce and try with your knife and see how long you're able to cut. I doubt that I can. Right now, it's not going to cut through here, I don't think. Oh no, it's still surprisingly. Look, I put pressure on the spine. That means I'm sitting down, so with some pressure here, I'm still able to cut this thing. It surprised me that it's still able to go through this. Okay. Well, I think if we can do this like this, that means I think this steel will cut through the cutting board for a long time, because silicon dioxide is the Rockwell, and if you translate to it, it's about 64 Rockwell. Aluminum oxide, with this case, if you translate it to it, it will be hardness maybe somewhere in the 80s range. It may be a little softer than silicon carbide, for example, or of course, it's going to be a lot softer than vanadium carbide. But the carbide, while chromium carbide maybe up to 70 Rockwell, and vanadium somewhere in the mid 80 or high 80, maybe it's like that. I whipped the number out of my head or my other head. Anyway, it's pretty. Well, I'm rambling, but you can see. So there, it's still. And if I were going to cut softwood, basically, I'm looking for the kitchen knife that with an edge that lasts a long time, and especially sharpened about 13.5 or 13 degrees or something like that. So, and with thickness behind the edge, maybe less than 10,000 or maybe 5,000. All depend on how much lateral force you apply. But as far as wear resistant wise, I'm pretty good. Thanks for watching.